Several schools of Eastern philosophy, which developed in India, China, and Japan, share similar view about the concept of truth, classified into two kinds: relative and absolute. The first mention of the relative truth appeared in a 3rd century work of Indian philosopher Nagarjuna to describe observations that are conditionally valid. So, relative truth is a fact that is valid according to the availability of certain circumstances.
An explanation of the relative truth was given by Nichiren, a Buddhist philosopher of 13th century Japan. Nichiren offered a simple example of a candle or a torch of fire used in his time to light a place at night. Fire can be used to produce light that can be beneficial at night. This is a relative fact, because fire will not produce this effect in daylight, where everything is already visible. The previous example of fire has another meaning. Fire will burn the matter it consumes, and this is true, whether it is day or night. This is a truth that Nichiren called unchanging or absolute truth. It does not change in time or place or occurring circumstances. The universal or absolute truth is a state of reality that is valid in all places and at all times. Being always valid includes this present time, the current reality in which we exist.
We can awaken to the universal truth through inward investigation. The most certain truth is the truth of one's birth in this world and eventually death. Our ancestors experienced this truth, and future generations also will. But the same pattern of birth and death is observed in all phenomena in nature. And all events we experience between birth and death express in their background the truth of dynamism of change.
Thus, the most obvious universal truth in reality of everything that exists is impermanence. Sometimes called the certainty of temporary existence of all phenomena. Impermanence is displayed by all phenomena in all time and place.
The two states of life and death are impermanent. Living changes into death. Death changes into rebirth. Impermanence implies that the nature of life is like a wave or a cycle.
Another truth that all people agree with is the truth of interconnectedness. Interconnectedness pertains to relationships with others and to connection with the environment. Awakening to the truth of interconnectedness triggers the attitude of appreciation, gratitude, and cooperation. Ignorance of the truth of interconnectedness manifests in focus on self-centeredness, leading to conflicts, divisions, and discrimination.
Eastern ontology is based on the concept of dependent origination, which suggests that the origin of being of any object is dependent on other beings, causes, and conditions. Everything in the world comes into existence in response to causes and conditions. That is, nothing can exist independent of other things or arise in isolation.
Because everyone changes, impermanence, and no one exists in isolation, interconnectedness. Then no one can claim having a permanent, isolated individuality. Emptiness of permanent individual nature is called the field of sunyata.
Sunyata is a field of vibrant information and images describing the life of a person, not as a fixed individual, but as being a dynamic function, dependent on others. The third truth that all people accept is that the world we live in manifests a natural order called also the Dharma. The natural order is experienced in the patterns and laws of reality. In the physical domain, science describes natural phenomena through their causes, conditions, and effects. In the psychological domain, one's motivations and actions lead to effects, feelings, and consequences. The law of cause and effect is the power that moves the world.
Awakening to the link between causes and effects is awakening to how life operates, making it thus possible to avoid wrong actions leading to problems. The law of cause and effect underlies the workings of all phenomena, both in the natural and mental domains. In the mental domain, positive causes, thoughts, words, and actions create positive effects in our lives, leading to harmony. On the other hand, negative thoughts, words, and actions, those that in some way undermine the dignity of life, lead to disharmony.
The truth in Eastern philosophy is viewed as being relative when conditioned by certain circumstances, and universal when referring to what is valid in all time and place. Our ancestors experienced, and our future generations will experience, the universal truths of dynamism, interdependence, and the bond of cause and effect operating within the flow of everyone's life.